Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl Kelly. We are back with another video. And if you are new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, guys. If you are into true crime stories, politics, news, we do it all on this channel. And today we're getting into a true crime story. So join us, if you will. If you are returning, thank you so much for being a friend. As always, I appreciate it so much from you guys. I really do. I'm so thankful for all of your support. So, guys, I'm sure you all are familiar with this case out there, and it's one that I have we've if you've known about it for since the beginning, it's been like a roller coaster, literally. This woman, Letitia, okay, Stauch or whatever, Stauch, I don't know how to, whatever. She's a psychopath, and I have heard about this case from like since when it first was all like transpiring and it was all coming out, that how much of a liar she is, how much of a narcissistic sociopath this woman is, and it's chilling. It truly is. So today we're talking about the case of Gannon Stauch and Letitia, who turned out to be an evil, very evil stepmother to this very precious little boy. So, have you guys seen, or are y'all following this case? Let me know in the comments down below. Um, Today I'm probably just going to be talking about the background of the case and giving y'all like what has happened up until the trial for the most part, and then maybe get into a little bit of the trial details, and I'll probably make this maybe like a 2 or 3 parter, so we'll get into some of the trial footage in later videos. But I just wanted to cover this one. There's like a couple trials going on right now that are kind of high profile. This one is one, and then the Lori Vallow case is like another, but I don't know. For some reason, the Lori Vallow thing, she's just like, it doesn't, I don't know. I haven't really gotten into that one as much. I don't know what's wrong with Lori Vallow. She is like off her meds. I don't know. I really, maybe I'll have to look into that one after this, but this one has really just resonated more with me. So I wanted to talk to you guys about this one, and it's just crazy. What really interests me and intrigues me with certain cases, true crime cases, is when you have somebody that like lies so badly that it's just, you really wonder, if it's like, is this person even like have 1 ounce of like true empathy, love, or like any kind of like human raw emotions that are genuine inside of them? Because I just don't understand it. This one, and like this kind of reminded me of like Casey Anthony, where they take the police and like everyone on like this journey, and they act like they're the ones being hurt. They just gaslight you, just like complete and utter gaslighting. I'm gonna show you guys some of the calls that her and her husband had, and I was listening to them, and I just felt like, this bitch is gaslighting me. Like, what is going on here? Like, I felt offended, and I felt like, like, damn, lady, like, what is your problem? So, without further ado, guys, let's get into the story of Gannon Stauch and his evil stepmother, Letitia. So, okay, guys, we're starting on January 27th, 2020. Well, I guess first I want to start off with this. Basically, Gannon was a young boy who was living with his father. His father was in the National Guard, I believe, and was away a lot of the times. He was active duty. And so a lot of times he was there alone at his house with his evil stepmother. And so, unfortunately for him, he didn't really get to see his mother, his biological mother, because she had her own issues going on. And he didn't really get to see his biological father that much because he was always away on active duty. So they also had a young daughter who lived there in the house with them. And then Letitia had a daughter who was 17 years old from a previous marriage that also lived in that house. So they were a family of 5, but for the most part, it was just the kids there and, the stepmom. in the house on like a daily basis, okay? And all of Letitia's friends, all of her coworkers, there was plenty of people in her life that vouched for her and said, like, oh, she wouldn't do anything to hurt kids. Like, she's a great stepmom. There was no warning signs of abuse prior to this. Just maybe your regular, like, maybe spankings happened, or but nothing major red flags. And then, obviously, not from his father either. He had a pretty good relationship with his father, it would appear, from all outside perspectives. So it seems like Gannon was a very normal and happy, well-adjusted little boy. Now, his dad did go on to say that, he had some complications at birth. So he was born prematurely. He was like only 1 pound and however many ounces. And so he had a lot of developmental problems, obviously. When you're born that early and that small, that's like, just imagine a 1 pound baby. It's very scary. And so, based on his testimony, they were saying that Gannon had been held back a grade or two, just to kind of like allow him the chance to grow and to catch up with the rest of the kids. Not like he was, didn't he have a learning disability, but he had more of like a growth, like a growth issue. So he was eventually able to develop and get up to the level where all of the rest of the kids his age were, but he did have those issues as a baby. So I'm sure there was certain things that, he was more high maintenance maybe than the other kids, and this might have caused an issue with the evil witch. So now that we know kind of the background story of the family, let's get into what happened with this crime. So this took place in Colorado, okay? And this woman, Letitia, okay? she pisses me off so bad. So she has entered a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity, or at least she tried to, right? But the judge rejected that, so she's now on trial, and she's going to be held liable because they deemed her to be sane. And so she has tried to weasel her way out of this every step of the way. And it just seems like every step of the way, it's like the forces for good have been like working against her, which is kind of keck and like, beautiful in and of itself. So January 27th of 2020, okay, Letitia Stauch, she calls 911 to report her stepson Gannon missing just before 7 p.m. I believe it was like 6:55. And she basically told them that it was a non-emergency. She called the non-emergency line and was calmly telling the dispatcher that, her son hadn't arrived back home yet. He had gone to a friend's house around 2, and she was calling because she was concerned because he hadn't come back home. But yet she could not give any details about what friend he went to go see, any names, or, any sort of information as to that fact. So deputies with the El Paso County Sheriff's Office arrived at the home around 10 p.m., which is crazy to me. Like, you call saying that, your kid has... And it would seem like she called and kind of made this a non-issue, though. She was calling just to cover her own ass, in my opinion. So you might ask, like, why is there a 3-hour, like, response time? Well, first of all, she called the non-emergency line. Second of all, she sugarcoated it to the dispatcher and made it seem like, oh, well, he just hasn't come home yet. I don't know, there might not be a problem. We're going to listen to the 911 call, but I'm just saying, like, she tried to make it seem like it was not a big deal. So they responded 3 hours later, 10 p.m., okay? And she gave the officers that responded permission to search the property. So investigators write in the affidavit that they believe Letitia murdered her stepson shortly after 2 p.m. So this was in the affidavit, obviously. This was not in the initial report. But, okay, so let's see. So after they search the house, they basically take the report down, and then the next day they end up kind of kicking it into high gear. And so I believe they come back, interview her again, and that's when they really start to try to put the pieces together and really get to the bottom of the story. So what Letitia was up to on January 28th, which is the following day, and mind you, she was caught on surveillance camera, like on her neighbor's, like, outside home video camera. She was caught with Gannon at around, 2 p.m., leaving. They left the house together. They came back to the house together, and then Gannon was not seen leaving again after that fact. But then she ended up leaving shortly around 3-ish, or it was between 3 and 4, all by herself. And then when she came back around 5, that's when, they were able to obviously see that Gannon had not been with her at that time. And so this footage was turned over to investigators, and they started to really piece this together pretty quickly, and the suspicion for Letitia grew, obviously fairly quick, because the stories weren't adding up. She told the investigators he had left on foot to go to a friend's house. Video evidence did not bear witness to that fact. So on January 28th, she drove her car to a short-term parking lot at the airport and rented a Kia from the Avis dealership, and then she went to go pick up her husband, who obviously had heard of the boy being missing and had returned home. And her husband, Gannon's father's name is Al Stauch. So she picked him up at around 9 a.m. in the rental car, left her vehicle at the airport. So Letitia returns to the short-term lot at 7 p.m., which is like much later that night, and allegedly moves Gannon's body to an unknown area to hide his body after she had allegedly murdered him. Okay, so she picks up her husband. I'm assuming, one can only assume, that Gannon's body was in her vehicle, which is why she left it there at the airport. Which is just, the way she treated this boy after he had been murdered by her is absolutely deplorable. It's detestable. It's like she gave no regard. She ended up like placing it at one location and then moving it. It's just like very, very sick woman. Okay. So after she did that, and they were able to kind of piece all of this together because she put her phone on airplane mode also. So she was actively trying to cover this up the entire time. And they eventually ended up searching that area, and this was much later, did not find Gannon, and ended up finding some sort of piece of wood that had his blood on it, which is how they were also able to kind of, piece it together, what she did, how she had placed his body at one location and then decided she was going to move it later on. So after Letitia did all of that, she dropped her husband back off at home, I'm guessing, went to go pick up her car, and then went to dispose of Gannon's body. So investigators believe that Gannon had been in the car because Letitia wanted to avoid her husband discovering his son's body, obviously. And then Haley picks up her mother in her own car at 10:30 p.m., investigators believe, based on cell phone records. Okay? And Haley is the 17-year-old daughter of Letitia, who they have said, they don't believe that she had any involvement or knowledge of any of this, which I find hard to believe, but I don't know. I'm not accusing her of anything. I'm just saying, how did you not know anything was going on? Because also on the 27th, she had texted Haley and asked her to pick up, like, cleaning supplies, like baking soda, carpet cleaner, like all kind of, like, suspicious stuff. I don't know, just... Anyways, we're going to get into it, guys. Okay, so on January 29th, which was 2 days after the murder of Gannon, the rental cars returned at 9 a.m. by Letitia. And she met with investigators at El Paso County Sheriff's Office, and she was 2 hours late to that meeting. So, her vehicle was obviously freshly washed and I'm sure cleaned. So the affidavit states that she arrived with sheets of paper and proceeded to tell investigators that she had been held at gunpoint. So she changed her story at this point. Completely changed it. And get this. This is the story, the new story. So she told investigators she'd been held at gunpoint by a man named Eduardo on the day Gannon went missing from their home. She said that the man raped her and then abducted Gannon. Letitia said she then cleaned up the area before reporting her son missing, but did not report the rape or the assault or the kidnapping.
Take a look at a trial that's coming up.
Oh my God. Sorry, y'all. Okay, so she completely changed her story, and changed it so outlandishly that it just, none of it made sense to the investigators. Obviously, put yourself in their place. She goes from saying that he just went to a friend's house and didn't return to saying that she was raped and Gannon was kidnapped, and they had spoken to her obviously on that day. And wouldn't you think that you would be a little bit more distressed if that has been what had happened to you? I don't know, just a thought. So, okay guys, let's see. What else? So yeah, it said she cleaned up the area where she had allegedly been raped by this mystery Mexican, and investigators seized her cell phone at that point and applied for a warrant to take DNA samples. The affidavit says that Letitia then begins to stick tissues down her pants and says she is struggling to breathe and having heart problems. So they take her to the hospital, and she was obviously fine once she got there, but she was checked into the hospital and then decided she was going to peace out, which is exactly what she did. So she snuck out of the hospital without telling anybody, and an unknown person came and scooped her up, and she just basically lied to get out of the situation that she was in, which is what Letitia is really, really good at. So I want to get into the 911 call before we go too far into this, guys. Okay, y'all, this is from Grizzly True Crimes channel on YouTube. So go check out this channel if you want to do that. But shout out to her. This is where I was able to find the 911 call that she made. Okay, so let's get into this, guys, without further ado.
Well, 6627 Mansion Drive, Colorado Springs. I think that one more time, make sure I have this here correctly. 667 Mandan Drive. Okay, the phone number you're calling. 843-7460. Your name? Lisa. I don't know if I'm serving on emergency or non-emergency. Sorry, I can barely talk, but my son was serving all at 6 o'clock, and I'm just 7. So, all his friend's house, he said he was going to be at his friend's house, and they said he wasn't there, and he never said he never came there. So I don't know any other people calling out, and I talked to my husband, so I told him how to call you guys as fast as I could, because I don't know anyone else here. And I don't know if there's a time limit, but he's only 11. He's 11. 11, yes. Okay. What's the thing? Gannon. Start for me? G-O-N. North. South. S-T-O-U-C-H. Okay. That's a big guy. I got a card. I can't get it. I have it. I'm going to give you, we have multiple questions we have to ask you. We don't want to tie up an emergency line, but I'm going to give you our non-emergency. That's fine. That's why I didn't know which number to call and say that. Yeah, no, okay. You know when you're ready for that number. Okay, go ahead. One time. 19 390 5555. Okay. You're welcome. Call that now. Yeah, I already have the call built. So, well, where we left off. I think.
And for the record, Your Honor, that was People's Exhibit 208.
Okay, so that was the 911 call that she made on the 27th, right, guys? So we went a little bit back in time, but y'all tell me, did that sound like a woman who had been forcibly raped by a stranger who had broken into her house and then proceeded to kidnap her stepson? I mean, just y'all tell me. Because to me, no. It absolutely did not. It was, she was totally calm and collected. She sounded like annoyed almost in a way that her son hadn't come home, or, you know, she didn't know where he was, and she was just kind of like, I'm just letting you guys know, you know, this was very much like, like I said, a CYA call is what it was giving me. So, very, very suspicious off the bat. Okay, so let's move along, and then we're going to get into the interview that she gave, which was also extremely interesting. I mean, just bizarre. And I'm sure if you guys are familiar with this case, you know what I'm talking about. This kind of went to be like a famous thing where, you know, she gave this interview to the news station with her back to the camera. Very, very odd behavior. So, okay, we're going back to the timeline now, guys. So, sorry if I'm jumping a little bit here, but I'm trying to make sure I tell y'all the full story with as much details as possible, and incorporate some of these, you know, some of these videos and things like that we have that help to tell the story. So, on January 30th of 2020, which was, now we're 3 days out from the murder, Gannon's status is changed from runaway to endangered missing child. And the police were the ones who elevated this status. It was, you know, their decision, obviously not hers. So the status change would allow the El Paso sheriff to reach out to the FBI and the Center for Exploited Children to assist. And that's when massive search efforts basically began, and they started to do ground searches and, you know, water search, all of these things that they do whenever children go missing. And they're trying to see what evidence, if any, they can find to try to locate this child. So on February 1st, which is the next day, Letitia and her daughter Haley began to drive cross country, which is you might think a weird time, like what a bizarre time to take a trip, right? I mean, like what's that about? Because I thought the same thing, but this is what they decided that they were gonna do. And I'm sure there was tension in the home because this woman was so psychopathic with the way she was gaslighting this man. I mean, it's just insane. And I don't know if I want to show you guys the, I guess we're going to get a little bit more through the timeline, and then I'll let you guys hear the phone calls that she had with her husband, because they were truly something to behold. But they decided, obviously, that they were going to take a cross-country road trip at this time, and that's what they did. So they drove from Colorado all the way into Florida. So, very, very bizarre. Okay, so Letitia rented a van for the drive, and they believe that Gannon's remains had been moved from the initial location where they had began to search, if that makes sense to y'all. So, she knew that obviously this area was going to be combed through, and maybe that's what prompted the cross-country road trip. I don't know, just a hunch. So they believed that he was in that van, and the purpose of the cross-country trip was not to sightsee. It was to make sure that she was still covering her crime. So 2 days later, February 3rd, a neighbor comes forward and claims that his home surveillance footage basically had captured Letitia, and it totally contradicted her version of events. So his video shows an adult and a younger person getting into a car outside the residence, but later only the adult is seen getting out of the car when it returns home. And okay, guys, and then on February 4th, Letitia and Haley arrive in Florida, check into a hotel that is just 3 miles away from where Gannon's body is later discovered by a group of construction workers. And from there, on February 13th, search efforts for Gannon expanded into neighboring Douglas County, which is obviously in Colorado. They were not even thinking about Florida because obviously they hadn't pieced all of this together yet. And so on the 14th and the 15th of February, Letitia tells her husband 5 different versions of events that occurred in the hours before Gannon went missing, according to the affidavit. So when El Paso sheriffs came to the house on January 27th, the abductor was still in her residence, and that she tried to signal the EPSO deputies that there was somebody in the residence, which is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Because there's audio and I believe there's body cam footage of that interaction, which it's just like retarded. Why would the abductor and your rapist allow you to call 911 and then stay there for 3 hours until the police show up and he's still there? Like, it's just, okay, so this was one story she had. Okay, then he told her she was raped by a man in her residence and he abducted Gannon. She knew the man's identity because she saw a paper and his ID card fall out of his pocket that had his name on it. Very convenient, right? Okay, so then her another version was that a man had followed her from Petco and at some point was laying in the middle of the road in front of a car. When Letitia stopped to avoid running the man over, he jumped into her car and made her take him home and raped her. Which is, wow, that's a doozy right there. That's what we call a doozy. Okay, so this was another story. Letitia and Gannon were near County Line Road, Highway 105 in northern El Paso County. Gannon is riding a bicycle in the area and fell off, hit his head, and was then abducted by a man. And one of the phone calls that we're gonna listen to, she kind of like goes into this story. This woman, like this, the audacity of the lies that she told, because they're just so outlandish that it almost insults your it does insult your intelligence. That's exactly what it does. Because when you lie straight to someone's face and then act as if you're being blamed, or like you do this like weird gaslighting thing where you're acting like the victim, but you're lying so blatantly and so just wildly imaginative, like your imagination is like going wild with these lies. It is the next level of audacity. Okay, so we're gonna get into, actually, do we want to get into that now? Let me read y'all the last one. Okay, so Letitia stated that the blood in the corner of Gannon's room was a combination of hers and Gannon's. In this explanation, she stated that the abductor anally penetrated her and Gannon with an object. Additionally, she was tied up at some point in the abduction and the abductor was still present during the EPSO visit that night. So she likes that she likes that little tidbit. She wants them to feel like, well, they fucked up because they didn't catch her signals, Yeah, okay, right, lady. So just wow. And then let me read you guys a little more and then we'll go to the phone calls. So those were 5 stories that she told her husband between the 14th and the 15th of February. So happy Valentine's Day to him. And then on February 18th, Letitia calls a company called FakePolygraph.com. Very smooth, girl. Hoping to get the results of a test she took sent to her, but is told her report was blocked by management based on the content of the questions. Wow, you really thought you were doing something, didn't you, girl? So, according to the affidavit, she is also told by an employee that with illegal activities, they reserve the right to not send the report. Well, like, fakepolygraph.com, like, what do y'all think is going to happen? Like, it's kind of a little bit dumb, if you ask me, because what do y'all even exist for? So, that's pretty weird, but I guess good for y'all for catching it. It just seems a little, out of sorts. Why else would somebody need a fake polygraph if they're not trying to cover up a crime? It's a little bit, why do you exist for? Like, what's the purpose of your service then? If it's not to help people fake crimes, I don't get it. So some of the questions, okay, from this report that she gave this fakepolygraph.com. So Letitia provided the following questions and the answers that were supposed to be truthful. Do you intend to answer these questions regarding your stepson truthfully? Her answer was going to be yes. Is your birthday August 4th, 1983? Yes. Do you participate in any way in causing harm to your stepson? Her answer was going to be no. Did your stepson return with you to your home? Her answer is yes. Did you participate in any way in causing the death of your stepson? No. So just, obviously, guys, we're dealing with a high IQ individual, and I am totally sarcastic in saying that. She just, the biggest idiot I think I've ever encountered, not, obviously, not really, but just very, very stupid. Because what? And so that is what Letitia did, okay? Yeah. Very, very not good, girl. You're going down. You're going down. So now, guys, before we get back to the timeline, let's get into some of these phone calls.
Investigators found blood in the child.
Okay, that's
missing.
great.
The defendant changed her story several times, and one of those stories included Gannon falling off his bike.
It was an accident.
Okay, so here, this is
I didn't ask you for any
this is
kind
the
of
bike
immunity
story.
'cause I committed.
Excuse me.
Gannon falling off his bike and being abducted by a stranger. Take a listen.
Ridiculous.
The only reason I didn't ask you for any kind of immunity because I committed some kind of crimes. Just know there was an accident. All I did was someone was trying to help me, and then I didn't know where he went from there.
The one I'm worried the most about is the freaking head wound, because what was it? How bad was he bleeding?
It's pretty bad.
It was pretty bad. Like,
Yeah.
like it was. Tell me bad. Is bad like blood's dripping down his face, or bad like he's laying there and there's a puddle, or what?
Oh, like dripping down his face.
Wow.
Did you do anything to wrap around his head or anything?
Yes, my clothes I had on had blood on them.
The clothes you had on?
Yeah.
Okay. And did he have a phone?
He said he would run back to his house. He had Gannon. Said he'd run back to his house, wrap it up tight, and he would call 911.
Okay.
So, if y'all aren't following, this bimbo, okay, her husband asked her flat out, like, did you try to wrap it up, like his head wound, with anything? And, she said, yes, like, she didn't, if y'all didn't catch it, she didn't answer the question directly, which is a clear signal that somebody's lying. She said, yes, my clothes had blood on them. Well, that's not what I asked you. I didn't ask you if your clothes had blood on them. I asked you if you tried to wrap up and prevent the bleeding from continuing on my son's head wound that you're claiming he had. And then she goes on to say that a man stopped to help her after witnessing this magical, mysterious bicycle accident, and then for whatever god awful reason, the man told her that he was going to take Gannon back to his house to stop the bleeding, and you just thought that was a good idea. You thought, yeah, that sounds normal. That sounds like something, yeah, totally. And that's what you did? Okay, it's a horrible lie, first of all, and it's just, why would you go with that? I really want to know the psyche of someone who would go with that, because of all the tall tales that you could tell in your lifetime, what sense does that make? True, I mean, I want to know. I really need to know this.
Gannon was talking.
So he took Gannon to his house, is what he told you, right?
Ridiculous.
And you did you stay where you were, or did you follow him, or what? Babe.
She hung
The
up on him.
composure of that man to make that phone call.
Literally. Okay, when he sounded so calm during all of that, because he had investigators and other people coaching him through it. So, because my God, I couldn't imagine it. I could not imagine having this woman gaslight me like this. I mean, it's enough to infuriate you. So let's get into a few other of these calls, guys, and then we'll eventually get back to the timeline, but we're setting it up here. So we're not going to watch this whole video. It's 20 minutes, but let's get into a little bit of it.
My family?
Ah!
All right, Tisha, listen.
Why are you screaming, girl?
You on the phone. And I'm trying to sit here and tell my own husband every little detail, everything. You think I don't want my...
You see, she's acting like a victim. Okay, his son, who is not her biological son, is missing and is presumed dead, I'm sure, at this point. And she is up here screaming, crying. She's already been caught in lies. She's already, been named, I'm sure, a person of interest, or if not a suspect at this point. And she is playing the victim in this whole scenario. Okay, girl. And if y'all can't see her, she's right here off to the side. She was doing this she's been doing this the entire trial, where she's like looking away. She's like trying to hide behind her hair. She's like covering her ears at a certain point. Very dramatic, girl.
Family.
All right, Tisha, listen. Like I said the whole time, I'm just trying to help you and trying to keep you and Harley safe from all. I mean, these people are after me now. I don't know who the hell it is, but like I said, I had to go get my clothes changed and everything just so I could blend in better. And I want you to know that no matter what, we can work through this together, and I can help you, okay? But you just gotta let me help you. But you told me to be straight up. I got a very straight up question, okay? Are you ready?
Yeah.
Did you kill Gannon? I need to know. I need you to answer me yes or no right now.
I killed Gannon. The answer is no. I can't believe you asked me this.
I just gotta know you. I told me to be straight up. I gotta know what's happening to my son.
Tell me why you would think.
She can't believe he would ask her that. The nerve of him to ask her, the last known person to be seen with his son, did you kill my son? Oh, wow.
I killed Gannon.
There's a lot of unknowns. I mean, being straight up again, you changed your story again to me for the 4th time.
No, I changed my story.
You did. This is the 4th version of the same story, okay?
Wow.
Like half of what you told me today.
Wow is right.
Cut foot, and now he's got burned arms and picking it, and his butt's bleeding. All this stuff is new to what you told me the other day. And the other day you told me you cleaned up the area where you got raped so nobody would see it. But now you told me you just changed clothes. I just don't know what the hell's going on.
I didn't tell you. First off, you never even listened to me about anything that went on.
I did. No, you stopped because I listened to you. I listened to you, and then I went and got the guns and put them in the truck, and then I came back and listened. Me and Landon listened to you, and then I stopped and picked your story apart. So get it straight, Tisha. I listened to you, and I said, if I'm wrong about the rape, I will get on my knees and beg you for forgiveness. Did I not say that?
Yeah, but you haven't.
Exactly, because I haven't been proven wrong yet.
Girl.
I want the truth. If I'm wrong, if the police, no matter what they're doing, the FBI, the CBI, the CBS, whoever, okay, if they tell me I'm wrong, I will publicly, in front of the world, get on a camera and tell you I'm sorry. But until that happens, we're going to find the truth.
How can you tell me that someone didn't? I don't understand. How can you tell me that someone didn't do something to hurt me and take Gannon?
I'm not telling you that.
Girl.
I'm telling you it hasn't been proven one way or the other. You said you banged your head on the freaking table. Now I got to tell them to go check out the table and see if there's any blood or any of your.
You knew that. They had already asked that.
Okay, but that's the first I heard of it. You see what I'm saying?
You never would talk to me. You literally just sat here in a conversation and asked me, did I kill our child?
Yes, I did because because if you say no, then I can't. I'll stop thinking that you did it. Okay.
That's horrible.
You crazy bitch, that's not your child. That is another woman's child. That you chose to end his life at age 11, completely took away his future, and here you are playing the victim. This is just gross, truly.
I don't know what to think. My son's blood. You're telling me his blood's all over the walls, and now you're telling me the Mexican guy that had the gun to your head or whatever took him away, and he knows him, and he could be anywhere.
Hold on. Gun? So where did you get that piece from?
That was what. So now you got me twisting all your stories up because that was from the first time you told me the rape story. That he had a gun to your head. You told me it was your gun. You told me, but you told me it was your gun. So that's fine. I'm not debating the points here. But
I said the black one.
okay, fine. But I mean.
You know in your heart I would never hurt Gannon.
Yes, I absolutely believe that. But I'm doing everything I can to help you right now. But Tisha, listen. The thing is, if you don't, but it's not just. I asked you if you killed him. You said no, and I'm sorry. That was a hard question. But if you know anything, or you did anything, or just upset about it, we can work together, and I can help you. But I can't help you if you don't tell me anything. It's just there's so many unknowns, Tisha.
Oh my God.
I mean, did anything happen that was an accident that you're scared about?
Really?
I'm just trying to, Tisha, you know with my army training, I'm trained to ask all these questions to get us in a safe place, right? And that's why I took the guns out from the get-go. That's just my training kicking in.
Oh my God, I really thought, I thought out of this conversation, I really thought you were going to be supportive of me. I thought you were going to bring your family back together. And I thought that we were going to talk about everything every single day of nothing but Gannon.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Oh my God! You thought all that, girl? You thought all that? Did you? You are delusional. It's the delusion for me. What? Oh. You thought wrong. You thought wrong.
For a second, you would ask me, did I kill Gannon? I can't believe that.
Well, I'm glad you said no. That gives me a lot of hope and peace.
Oh, Gannon.
Uh-uh.
I already told him about maybe, just maybe you might have a brother. Maybe. We talked about, we cried about Kobe. We did a lot together.
Why?
No.
Whatever, Gannon.
Okay,
Dog.
okay, Tisha. Let me ask you this way then. I don't believe you killed him. But did something bad happen to him, and he maybe he is dead or not with us anymore, and you just panicked and didn't know what to do? I mean, is there anything like that? Just any information is what I need. We can help you. I can help you get through this. But but we got to know the information about Bubba. I mean, just think of,
Really, I'll
yes, I'm just trying to figure out what happened to him. He's gone and nobody knows anything, but you were the last one to hear him speak. Okay, which was Monday when you were driving around and he left the house. The last time we heard him speak, I don't know. I don't know when that was. Before I left, probably. When I left and he went downstairs to watch Pokemon. That's the last memory I have of him.
Albert, let me tell you something. People don't have the life that I have. People don't just be a normal person, just doing their thing, finally had what they want to do and be in the sky, working. Oh, they don't do that. People premeditate things in life.
Oh, really? Oh, really? You're working in the sky? Bitch, what gibberish are you talking, ma'am? And, I understand why you tried to plead insanity. Because you are a crazy hoe. But you're not insane, legally. I don't even know what you are, what kind of person you are, but people do it every day, Miss Lady. People with better lives than you do it every single day. Alex Murdaugh just got found guilty of murder. He had a better life than you. Chris Watts. I mean, look at, I could go on and on. It's just, what even excuse is that? Normal people don't do that. It takes premeditation. Well, who knows? We don't know what's in your sick-ass head. You probably did premeditate it. Even if you didn't, crimes of passion, crimes of opportunity happen every single day. Every single day. Mothers kill their kids. It happens. It does. Look at that nurse from Boston who killed her 3 children and then tried to kill herself. I mean, just what nonsense is this? It's beyond gaslighting. Really. I don't even know what you call. We need a new clinical term for her.
There's no sign or indications of anything that I would have ever hurt those children.
Girl.
I fought for you. I fought for them.
Yes, you did. You fought for all of us. You're right. I'm not questioning any of that, Tisha. I just did an accident happen? I mean, other than the candle or the burn? I don't know. I'm just trying to ask all the questions.
I've worked with children long enough, Albert. If an accident happened, I'm smart enough. I know what to do. I've had plenty of friends who've been in situations where they've been in the classroom. They accidentally dropped the kid. The kid might have broke their leg.
Yeah, she knew what to do, all right. She knew exactly what to do. And everything that she knew was just utterly idiotic and stupid and the wrong thing. So thank goodness, though, for that, because it's ultimately how she ended up getting caught. So now, guys, I want to show y'all the interview that she gave, which was around the time of this, all of this transpiring. This is before the body of Gannon was found. And obviously, there had been rumors swirling around the town where they lived. She had been named a person of interest. People were talking, and she saw these people, these news camera crew reporting outside of the neighborhood here, and so she stopped and she was like, "Oh, excuse me, y'all can't, y'all can't do this. I need to tell my side of the story." So she felt the need to bring her ass up here, stop this man from doing his reporting, and let's listen to a little bit of what she had to say, guys. Let's get into this.
You've been a part of the investigation since the very first time. You were the last person to see him. Is that right?
Correct.
What did you see when you last saw him? Well, I'm not allowed to talk about anything with the case. I would more so be willing to
What are
talk
you doing
about
here,
how
then?
the community needs to have faith and continue to work together and not make these false accusations, like the things that have been said that I've disappeared from the community. I haven't been there to help, but there's lots of reasons behind that.
Oh, really?
Like death threats, right?
Right. Death threats are one of them. My family's getting lots of death threats. We counted over 20-some death threats already.
my God.
2, my husband's ex-wife is living in our home. And of course, I'm not coming home to do these things and to help with the family when I was kind of like told I couldn't. And then many other things that happened with the El Paso County Police Department, you know, and in doing the investigation, I was told I wasn't complying. And can I elaborate on that?
Please do.
Yes.
You
so
weren't.
I asked for an attorney during the interview, and I was denied that by them. I was held because they were blocking the door, and I was told I couldn't leave, and that if I would have touched them, they would have probably, you know, said I still wasn't complying or said I was, you know, trying to run away or something. But during the interview, I asked several times, could I stop the interview? Could I get an attorney? Could I stop the interview? Could I get an attorney? I was denied. I was told I couldn't get nothing to drink. I couldn't go to the bathroom. I mean, it was continuously that my constitutional rights were violated.
And that's why you say that they said then you weren't cooperating with the investigation.
That's why they said I wasn't cooperating at that time, correct?
And why did you ask for an attorney at the time?
Well, I asked for an attorney at the time because there was one individual, there was 2 really good detectives, and so I'm not, you know, going to talk bad about detectives, but the tactics they started to get when I would answer questions, they try to, you know, they're detectives, they're supposed to twist, the one main goal is to find Gannon. But during that time, some of those things made me feel uncomfortable the way they were saying things, so I immediately stopped and felt like an attorney would help me with some of the vocabulary and things like that that I needed help with and understanding some of the things that they were asking.
I'm going to shift gears to what has become a huge online presence of people obviously trying to do the right thing, help find Gannon. But at the same time, sometimes it just feels like rumor mongering. Have you seen any of those comments yourself?
We have, and see, that's one of the main things we haven't been around in the public eye because I didn't want to expose my family to it if all these things were going on. You know, there was comments about Gannon getting pushed off the hike, and there was comments about this, and that's just not true. I took care of Gannon for the last 2 years in our home because his mother didn't want to do it. And I would never, ever hurt this child. And I know there's some questions out there about, okay, so tell me what happens. That's up to the investigations when they end up letting you guys know, but I've cooperated with them, even to the point that we were held with a gun, and my daughter, a 17-year-old who serves our country in the United States Air Force, who has never committed a crime or done anything wrong in her life, was put in handcuffs over the keys that was in her purse.
She served the country?
So they could take her car.
And they weren't in there?
They weren't even in her car. I mean, in her purse.
And
they were
in
in my
what
pocket.
world?
You originally didn't even know it was the...
Sorry, excuse me. In what world do 17-year-olds serve the country? 17-year-old girls. Wow, thanks. Great service. Great. There's so much a 17-year-old girl can do for this country. Wow.
Law enforcement officer?
I didn't know it was a law enforcement officer because when he came out, I guess he was putting his jacket on, and it wasn't necessarily his fault. He was adjusting and happened to catch me. But I saw the gun and I panicked originally and kind of thought, oh gosh, I got the, like, who's this guy? And then once I realized it was the sheriff's office, I was totally okay. But they still had a gun and told me they were going to shoot me. But I was really concerned about my daughter asking why she was being detained in handcuffs and things like that. When that shouldn't even happen for a child. That shouldn't happen for someone who was standing inside of a store shopping because we couldn't have any clothes because all of our clothes were here. If we came here and got clothes, you know, we would be harassed. So she went to purchase some underwear and things like that and was put in the handcuffs in the store, you know, and then brought out with me with guns. And that's just not okay. You know, they could have approached me and said, hi, I'm in the county. Can I please get this? Instead of the way that it happened.
I'm just going to take a shot. Doing great. Still good on recording. Still can hear you okay. Okay, yeah, sounds like we're good. Every once in a while my mic will get out and I want to make sure it's not going to happen here.
This weird bitch.
Okay. Alright, and then... oh, shoot.
What is this crackpot
almost
shit?
feels like, to me, like kind of a pitchfork mentality with people. Almost, do you feel safe in Southern Colorado?
Yes, this is a wonderful neighborhood. We picked this neighborhood because it felt like such a great community and the school district's great. And so I really feel safe in Colorado Springs.
But then the community is that true?
There's a lot of times that, you know, on the ring gap and things like that, we hear of like a burglary every day. And, you know, some of those things you can't always look into and think that it actually happened. You have to kind of like wheedle it out. But overall, the community is really good at looking out for each other and coming together in times of need.
I should try and clarify here. Not necessarily crime rates, but the way that people are reacting online to rumors about you with the search.
Oh yes, wow. The rumors have gotten so bad. I pretty much have been told at least 10 different ways that these people have these conspiracy theories. I guess they watch a lot of law shows and maybe they have all these theories on how Gannon is dead. And that's what they're saying. So I'm like, why are you saying Gannon is dead? He is not dead. We are going to find Gannon. And that's the main goal that we all have. My family has. Just because you haven't seen us, we had that same goal. We've been out searching. My aunt has been out searching. My family has been out searching.
Oh, really?
We all have been doing
Where'd
that
they go?
together so that we could protect each other.
Where'd they go search, girl? Where did they go search? Where y'all been searching? Where y'all went to Florida? I know you went to Florida. Yeah, what was y'all doing out there? Y'all were searching? Okay. Interesting. So, I'm going to cut it off right there, guys. I'll link all of these videos in the description. Y'all want to watch the full-length versions, but I just don't want to drag this out too long. So, let me get back into the timeline with you guys, and then I'll probably wrap it up after that because it's already going on like 40-something minutes. So, again, I don't want to take too much of your time. It's going to be broken up anyways into different parts. So, let me get back to that, and then we'll hop on out. Okay, so going back to our timeline, guys. So this is all happening, the calls, the interview that she gave. She did the fake polygraph.com thing. They told her kick rocks, bitch. You're trying to fake a crime. And so on February 21st, the search efforts for Gannon were suspended. A judge signed off on an arrest warrant on February 28th. And then on March 2nd, Letitia is arrested in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Not Colorado. Mind you, she was across the country. Okay. On March 4th, Letitia makes national news after she allegedly attacks a deputy while being extradited back to Colorado. Okay. So she's just doing herself all kinds of favors. All kinds of favors. On March 5th, Al Stauch, he filed for divorce. Smart move there. And it says that the marriage was irretrievably broken. I would say so. Okay, so, and then on March 11th, she's formally charged with first-degree murder in El Paso. And then on March 17th, Gannon's body is discovered in Florida, according to testimony provided by Sergeant Jason Yoder. And bridge inspectors at the Florida Department of Transportation found a suitcase under the bridge while doing construction, and upon opening it, found what appeared to be a boy's body wrapped in blankets. So the last thing we're going to watch is that testimony, guys. I want to show y'all, and it's going to be hard to hear. So if you are not wanting to hear the description of these workers finding Gannon's body, then you may want to click off. But let's get into that, and then we'll hop on out of here, guys. Okie dokie. All right, y'all.
When you say deck, are you talking about the road area of the bridge where the vehicles go?
Yes, sir. That's what we call the deck. We take our measurements at the top of the barrier wall. Anybody that's driven over a bridge, the concrete walls on the outside is where we take our measurements from.
And so are you and Mr. Goins looking over the edge of the bridge and you see a suitcase directly down below?
Yes, sir.
What side of the bridge are you on, the eastbound lanes or the westbound lanes?
We're on the eastbound lane, and we were on the east or the right side of the structure.
And so you know that there's a suitcase there, but then you go on with the inspection?
Yes, sir.
And tell us about that. Do you go all the way across the bridge and then work your way back, or how does that work?
Well, generally when we're taking a profile, it's we'll start at what we call the near end, which for our reference is we work from west to east or south to north. In this case, we were working west to east. We started on the right side of the bridge heading east. When we finish that profile, then yes, we do turn back around and we work from east to west back to where we started. And that's when we get into the truck and start our under bridge inspection.
And when you start your under bridge inspection, is that when you get back to the area where the suitcase is?
It wasn't for, no, sir. It wasn't for probably roughly an hour and a half later, maybe a little bit longer, because when we started the under inspection, we start back at the beginning of the bridge. Okay. And where we found the suitcase was almost at the very end of the bridge.
And this bridge goes east and west, is that right?
Yes, sir.
So you're starting the undercarriage portion on the east side, working your way west, is that right?
No, sir. We're starting on the the west end, working towards the east.
Okay. And so what happens when you get back to that area where the suitcase is?
Because of the profile and the as the bridge, there's the hump in the bridge. When we got towards the end of the structure, the bridge starts to become lower, closer to the ground. And at that point, we didn't need the truck anymore, so we were able to lower the basket down to the ground line and get out, and was going to finish our inspection from there. And that's when we lowered down to the ground, we've remembered that we had seen the suitcase. We finished up our inspection and then went back to the suitcase.
And why did you go back to the suitcase?
Pure curiosity.
Okay. And again, is Mr. Goins with you at this point in time as well?
Yes, sir.
So what happens when you get back to the suitcase?
We got back to the suitcase, and where it was lying kind of an odd angle, but the handle was towards the underside of the bridge. So I reached out for the handle and immediately noticed it was very, very heavy. And I looked back and remember telling Matt, I said, I don't know what's in this. I said, but it's heavy. I said, and where it was at had a possibility of being waterlogged. We didn't know if there was clothing or something in it. We just noticed that whatever it was probably waterlogged and saturated, just due to how heavy it was.
And I imagine you get a lot of rain in Florida?
Yes, sir.
Do you get a lot of rain in the months of February and March?
We can. March normally is fairly rainy season, but again, where the suitcase was really right at the edge of the marsh, and depending on tide, you don't necessarily have to have a lot of rain for that area to be influenced by tide.
Okay. So you, Mr. Goins, get up to the suitcase. You said it appeared to be heavy. What happened after that?
Because of where it was at, it was very, very marshy and muddy. We, of course, didn't know what was in it, but underneath the bridge where it was at was very flat and sandy. And we kind of like made a decision, let's pull it out of the mud and pull it underneath the bridge where it was flat and sandy, and whatever it was in it, let's just open it there rather than in the muddy marsh, just sticks and a lot of sticks and stuff there. So we pulled it underneath the bridge.
And what, did you open it?
Yes, sir.
Tell us about that.
I was the first one to unzip it. And before we opened it, as soon as we unzipped it, we immediately noticed the smell. That's what hit us first. I remember looking up at Matt, who's quite a bit taller than me. And I said, Matt, I think there's something dead in here. And unfortunately, we do come across sometimes somebody will throw out a litter of puppies or something in a bag, and that's not uncommon. And it smelled, but it was so strong. It was different that day. So I didn't initially open it, and we kind of thought about what we were going to do first. When we finally went ahead and unzipped the rest of it, the smell was so overpowering. We kind of took a step back, and the first thing I remember seeing was just 2 little feet, and that had little football socks on them. The best I remember, I remember there being little socks on them. And before anything else happened, we couldn't really make out what it was. Matt dumped the suitcase over, and of course we immediately knew it was a body. But after looking at it, it was we couldn't tell male or female, boy or girl. We didn't know. A lot of black hair. And then I turned away.
What was the size of the suitcase? Do you remember?
Roughly size of a checked bag. It wouldn't have been it was too big to be a carry-on, but roughly the size of an older checked bag suitcase.
And was there anything else in the suitcase besides the body?
Lots of blankets. There may have been a pillow or something. I just remember a lot of bedding in there, and blankets. It was kind of the body was in a fetal position and partially wrapped up, so we couldn't tell a whole lot until we dumped it out. And again, I turned my head.
Oh.
So truly, just tragic and very disturbing end to this young boy's life, and to have to be found that way. I don't understand why they dumped the suitcase out. I mean, I don't know. In the moment, I don't know how people react different ways, but that's what he described. And I mean, I feel for these construction workers, because I could not imagine stumbling upon the remains of a child. I mean, that is something that will haunt you forever, I'm sure. So, okay, guys, I'm going to stop it off right there because I don't want to get the video to get too long. There will be a part 2, maybe a part 3. So we'll pick it up from here, and we'll get more into some of the testimony from the dad, Letitia's brother, get into some more court footage and everything like that. So let me know what y'all think so far of this case, though, because it's a doozy. It really is one of the more astounding cases that I have seen in a while, because like I said, the audacity of this woman, it is something to behold. Okay, she gives liars like Casey Anthony a run for her money. So y'all, let me know in the comments what y'all think about the case. Are y'all following it? And we'll be back for part 2. Please like the video if you guys liked it. And yeah, y'all, make sure y'all stay safe out there. And until we meet again, I will see y'all later. Okay, bye.